There are growing concerns over a potential housing crisis now that the Supreme Court has decided to end coronavirus pandemic-related eviction protections for most of the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland has issued a call to action to the legal community in an effort to defend American families facing possible eviction. A new analysis from Goldman Sachs says an estimated 3.5 million households are behind on rent. Under the current policy, 750,000 households could face eviction by the end of the year. In response, a group of more than 36 law school deans and their faculty are pledging to, quote, take immediate action to combat this crisis. Bill Treanor joins us now for more on this. He is the dean of Georgetown University Law Center. Dean Treanor, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So you are one of the 44 law school deans joining forces to combat last week's ruling by the Supreme Court. What actions are you taking to address this massive eviction crisis threatening millions of Americans?
Right. Now, as you say, it is a crisis. We're looking at, depending on, whose numbers, the Attorney General said 6 million households are behind on their rent and 3 million are facing eviction in the next couple of months. So it's a terrible crisis. And really starting on Saturday, in response to the Attorney General's call, law school deans, law schools have been stepping up. And actually, the number as of today is 78 law schools across the country are going to be helping out. And the way in which they're helping out depends on the jurisdiction. In some jurisdictions, there's a real eviction crisis that's imminent. And the law schools are going to be helping out in court, representing people, helping them, make sure that, if the eviction proceedings go forward, that they have some legal representation, because often people don't have lawyers when they go to court. So that's one thing in a lot of jurisdictions people will be focusing on. Actually, in D.C., the local moratorium is going to continue because of the D.C. government. We're going to be focusing in on helping people get the money to pay their rent. So there's a federal government program. More than $46 billion has been committed by the federal government to help people pay back rent so that they can stay in their apartment. Thus far, only $5 billion has been allocated. And it's largely because people don't know about it, and the forms are complicated to fill out. So we're having our clinics are focusing on getting the word out about this program and helping people fill out the forms so that they can pay their back rent. So that'll help them. It'll help them avoid eviction. It'll also help the landlords by ensuring that they're made whole.
Right. You make a very good point. There is so much money out there that has not been accessed yet. And a lot of times people just don't know how to do it. So that's a very useful resource that you're providing there. And again, you also make the very good point that this is different from district to district, from state to state. There are certain protections in place in some states, not in others. But in general, what rights do these tenants have in this situation? And what can you at Georgetown Law and the other law schools that are working to help them, what can they do to protect those tenants' rights?
Well, one of the things that the jurisdictions across the country are helping people access the money that the government is providing, and that should keep them in the apartment. So in some jurisdictions, when people aren't represented by lawyers, landlords are kicking them out or are going to be kicking them out, even though they have money to pay their back rent. So the law students are going to be representing people in court and making sure that, if people have the money from the government or their own money, that they can stay in the apartment. Because, to be kicked out right now in the midst of a pandemic, people will be put in homeless shelters. They'll be on the streets, and the coronavirus is just going to be transmitted worse and worse, which is, one of the reasons why CDC stepped forward. So in a lot of jurisdictions, the law schools are going to be working with people, making sure that they stay in their houses when they have a legal right to. The other thing that we're going to be focusing on, because of, DC does have a eviction moratorium that's continuing, is getting the word out about the government money. So, people just don't know about it. Only about 10% of the $46 billion has been accessed. So, people should be able to get that money, and it'll allow them to stay in their apartment even when the moratorium ends.
Absolutely. Let's take a step back now, Dean Treanor, and discuss how the Supreme Court came to this decision to end the eviction moratorium. What was the court's reasoning?
Well, so there actually were two decisions. So there was a moratorium that was set to expire on July 31st, and the court split 5-4 on whether to keep the eviction moratorium in place, with 5 justices saying that it would stay in place. There weren't opinions. There was, for that, the only opinion was a concurrence by Justice Kavanaugh, saying that he thought that the CDC didn't have the power to put in place the eviction moratorium. But because the eviction moratorium was only about a week left, that he was going to vote in favor of keeping it in place so that it could be unwound in a methodical way. But that was just one vote out of 9. So the administration and the CDC, in response to that, put in place a new moratorium, extended it for a couple of months, but also made it narrower. So it would only have affected, or it only did affect, areas in which the COVID virus was at particularly high levels. So the old moratorium affected the entire country. The new moratorium was just where COVID was really most prevalent. When that went up to the Supreme Court, 6 justices voted to lift the moratorium. The 3 justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan, said, this is a really big issue, and the Supreme Court is just deciding it on the papers. And when you make a decision that's this big and affects so many people, and again, millions and millions of people are facing eviction, you actually should have argument and have it fully briefed. So that was what the 3 justices who lost were arguing. The majority said, this goes beyond what CDC has the power to do. So there's a statute that gives CDC the power to give moratoriums, but it said this is just too broad. That's really a really narrow control over housing.
Right. And Dean Treanor, as we mentioned earlier, the Supreme Court ruling really is not affecting the temporary eviction bans that do exist in several states, including New York and California. How do these eviction bans at the state level work? And can we expect to see more states issue temporary bans in the coming weeks?
Well, I think we're going to see many more. I think we're going to see many more states put in place eviction bans. And, what they do is, the rent continues to accrue. But it says for some period of time, because of the pandemic, people can't be kicked out. They shouldn't be sent to the streets. They shouldn't be sent to homeless shelters. So even though they're behind on rent, in D.C., for example, people can stay in their apartment. What you're going to see, I'm very confident, is a lot of more jurisdictions are going to put in place eviction moratoriums like D.C.'s, because it's a real crisis. And what people will face, if they're forced into homeless shelters, if they're forced to move in with family members, which will be kind of even more crowding, it's just going to make our health crisis, it's really going to be, it's a tragic, even more tragic situation.
Well, Dean Treanor, Bill Treanor, Dean of Georgetown Law School, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for what you're doing for all of those families who face the possibility of eviction. We appreciate your help. Well, thank you. It's a crisis, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk about what we're doing and what really needs to be done. Thank you.